Just the right angle. Doing a quick news update. I'll try to do these periodically. I can't quite do them on my regular scheduled time, but you can check in when I do go public about what is going on. Big news today. Old Sleepy Joe apparently had cancer. And I'll show here on a little bit on Rumble Stream. Apparently, Joe Biden had a prostate cancer. And you can screen down here. It looks like it should have been diagnosed a long time ago. It is a 5 to 7 year journey. So he's apparently had this for several years now. In addition to having dementia. In truth, Joe Biden should have never been in the U.S. Senate. Should have never been there. And of course, the Democrats don't care. We all know that if Donald Trump had a diagnosis of cancer, they'd be jumping for joy. So we don't need to have any kind of sympathy. And apparently, oh yeah, here we go. Here's some good audio.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window.
Wait a minute.
That's why I and so damn many other people.
Okay, I don't know what the oil slick on your window has to do with. I'm not even sure he's making much sense, but he did there admit that he had cancer. And as I am trying to paste this on Facebook, it won't show up. But in any event, there you go. So anyway, Biden was not fit for office. This is yet another example of why Biden is not fit for office. So the question was, and it's been there regarding Biden, who was actually running the country? Who did the signing of those all these presidential pardons and all the bills that were signed into law? Who did that? Well, it was consultants. Consultants run this country. They ran this country into the ground, and they also run most of your states. This is an article from Conduit News. Lies, damn lies, and consultants. And he talks about one small example here in my little state. Global managing consulting firm McKinsey and Company serves leading governments, non-government organizations, and not-for-profits in solving for their $5 million fee. McKinsey's executive summary detailed they could save Arkansas $500 million. And of course, it actually instead increased spending by $100 million. And the people of Arkansas are paying high salaries to directors of state agencies who are mostly political appointees, who themselves are also paying consultants for advice on other jobs. So we're paying oftentimes government workers who then have to pay consultants and we're all getting ripped off. You wonder why government keeps increasing. Here in 2008, Mike Beebe proposed that raising the severance tax on natural gas would bring in vast amounts of tax money. I actually campaigned against this tax increase. It was a ballot initiative. Its experts based their estimates on a conservative price of $8 a gallon gas. The price of natural gas plummeted to less than $2, missing their estimate by 400%. Thank goodness, and so be glad that I fought against that tax increase. And in 2013, Medicaid expansion, 215,000 new enrollees, and it's exploded to now a third of the whole state, the population. These consultants are all over the place. These are all kinds of political consultants. They increase, they find ways to increase government. They oftentimes help in pushing for tax increases and local millage tax increases. There were consultants helped to reduce crime in prison overcrowding. The former, of course, Jeremy Hutchinson, our former nephew, who was part of these consultants, is now in prison. That's who's running the country. Here's another small example. Talk about voting. ES&S, they're the people that run our voting machines. They're headquartered in Nebraska. Nobody knows who their actual CEO is, or if they do, they have yet to tell you. But they run your voting machines. They run a lot of the voting machines besides Dominion. So here we go. ES&S said they could not give read-only access to individuals in a call center. An entire precinct was changed during November election. This is not the first time it's done. Pulaski County Clerk's Office. So the Pulaski County Clerk's Office is scamming elections and helping Democrats win, probably helping some tax increases win, and the election machine system won't allow us to find out what's going on. This is from South Arkansas Reckoning. It was shared by Lori Justice. And this is the SBEC, I think. I actually forget what the SBEC is. I need to see if they have it. Let me see if they describe the acronym. The Arkansas State Board of Election Commissioners can be issued a combined investigative report. The Reckoning broke this story, so give credit to them. The Pulaski County's office failed to prevent the inappropriate changing of 132 voters recorded in street files. That's enough to turn several elections. I've seen elections, tax increases, and elections for state representative that have been turned by a lot less. I defeated the Bryant millage tax by 8 votes. So you're absolutely right. These type of elections can make a huge difference. And this is what caught in one county. You can imagine the kind of stuff that happens on a statewide level. So there we go. But yeah, folks, consultants run these. And of course, we know this with Biden. But let's be honest. Most of the people that you elect to office are not running the show. It's political consultants that are running the show. They're the ones writing the bills. They're also the ones oftentimes in charge of the county committees. Consultants, staff members from other offices, who oftentimes are the same people, members of these various organizations like the Association of Counties, the Municipal League, the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Commissions, these authorities. And here's an example of I have. This piece of crap right here, Chris Caldwell. This coward is allowed to run the Republican Party. He is allowed to interrupt members of the Republican committee, during the winter committee, he was allowed to stop any debate and discussion regarding whether or not the Republican Party of Arkansas would obey the will of this, the rules we passed in the state convention. And he's been a staffer. Most of his life, he's been either a staffer or a campaigner. He was a campaigner for Sarah Huckabee Sanders, which, I mean, a copperhead snake could have run that campaign and won it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was going to win hands down. And for decades, he was also a staffer for Senator Boozman. A decade as part of Senator Boozman's official staff. And the only reason Boozman won is mainly because of his money and because conservatives were too divided between Jan Morgan and Beckett. And of course, the Democrat Party had already fallen apart by then. The Democrat Party has been pretty much extinct except for some liberal strongholds since about 2012. They're not going to overrun a statewide race. Now, I have heard that this guy had some kind of connection to Mike Huckabee, that his daddy may have been Mike Huckabee's roommate. I don't know about that. But now he runs a consulting firm, Caldwell Consulting. And you can see some of his clients here. The Trucking Association, L Healthcare, there's Medicaid, Summit Utilities. You wonder why utility bills keep going up? That's part of the reason why. Cox Communications, another healthcare industry, Entergy. So that's why we get all these solar panels and windmills, and yet your utility rates be going up. It's because of this guy. I don't know what this stupid thing is. But there he is. He gets to go travel and do photo ops and take pictures. He's probably got one with Trump. There's him with Boozman and a judge. So yeah, this guy is part of the reason why conservatives who are trying to fight hard to make this state red and push for not just Trump's agenda and MAGA, but conservative values long before Trump ever even came on the scene, are leaving the Republican Party because this coward right over here gets to force them out. And there's others like him. But these people are ruining this nation. They're ruining the state and they're ruining this nation. And until they are outed, until people start talking about them, and things are just not going to get that much better. Because we know the Republican Party on a national level is stymieing Trump's efforts. They've only passed a few bills. They've blocked a lot of confirmations. We know this. They allowed the Republican Party the RNC was a failure in allowing this clown to even steal an election in the first place. They allowed a lot of failures afterwards. Mitt Romney's niece, whose name I can't remember, she was forced out of office. She was former RNC chair, and some of the RNC got cleaned up. But sadly, a lot of it didn't. Ronna McDaniel. She should have never been in charge in the first place. But the RNC today is still a failure. They're still letting consultants like Chris Caldwell kick out real conservatives all across the nation. And so wherever you want to say about his diagnosis, he should have never been in office. But again, I say this again. Most of your congressmen, most of your senators, most of your state legislators, most of your county officials, they're in the same boat. They may not have cancer, but they don't write any of the laws. they're off doing their own thing. They're not listening to you. I know in many cases they don't even go to county committees anymore. They've been instructed to not go there. You've never really seen them go in tough debates, or they're having to uh, answer tough questions, and they won't even do it. Not even from uh, county committees of the same party they're supposedly in. And then we have some other people that just have completely failed us. So here's something about a solar panel thing. We're having these in Arkansas. These are scams. Even if they aren't smash my hailstorms, they're not going to decrease your cost. They're not going to save the planet. They're toxic. They're destructive. So yeah, you need to find out what's going on. Like here's another example. Izard County GOP, their monthly meeting is tonight, 6 p.m. So if you're in the area, oh, they actually have finger foods. I'm glad for them. I wish other counties could do that, but of course they can't. Most of them can't because they're not funded. An example: this clown right here, Caldwell, he siphoned $375,000 from the pro-life group Stronger Arkansas and sent it off to groups like Red Right Strategies and companies like Axiom, while pro-life activists like myself had to scramble to try to fight against the pro-abortion activists during the signature gathering for the abortion amendment that would have gone on the ballot had the pro-abortion people not screwed up some of their paperwork regarding their paid canvassers. If they hadn't screwed up, abortion would have at least gotten on the ballot. I don't know if it would have passed, but it would have gotten a ballot, and this guy would have made money siphoning off to his buddies. And that's the problem we have with the Republican Party. By the way, Arkansas pretends to be the pro-life state in the nation. We're not, or actually have an increase in abortion. It's just done through the pill, not surgery. But you're never told that. So, folks, I just wanted to give that little rant on what's going on and give an update regarding the Biden cancer. Hey, Lena Jr. 01. I am trying to get to where I can log on to my Twitch and respond to people and follow people, but it's Twitch is kind of a little bit difficult for me to handle. So I apologize if I try to get to where I can go onto my stream on Twitch, but I'm always on a work in progress. Folks, I try to do best I can. Let me post a link to these articles. I did focus a little bit of gaming, but I've kind of gotten off that now because I don't want my nation to fall apart. I don't want my nieces and nephews to have to grow up in a place similar to what's been going on in Europe. But it's going to happen because cancer, dementia people are going to be put in office. Traitors, rhinos, sellouts of communist China are going to be put in office, and cowards like Chris Caldwell are going to be running the scenes, and no one's going to hold them accountable, and the nation's going to fall apart. It won't survive if clowns like this are still allowed to reign power and not be held accountable. So anyway, I have to go out now. Unlike Mr. Caldwell, I can't set up a fake political action committee and siphon money. So do you donate if you like what you heard. I have ways you can help finance this. I've posted it in the description. I'll post it here in the chat. But I have to take off. You all have a good day. Find a way to get involved. Find the conservatives that are fighting for freedom in your neck of the woods, and find the globalists like this clown that are in your neck of the woods, and fight them before you start thinking about Bill Gates or Schwab or Soros or anybody else. Don't even bother right now with the elections. It's the consultants that are the main issue. That's about it. You all have a good day.